Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a list of my summer DNFs, which stands for did not finish. And so I have a few of these that I picked up and I put down because I wasn't caring for them or I felt like they just really weren't my taste. And then there's one that I put down that I have every intention of coming back to, but it wasn't high priority on the list. And then besides those, I also have some books that I wanted to mention just so that way you are kept in the loop. They're books that I intended on picking up that I still want to pick up, and I just didn't get the chance to get around to these ones, so I wanted to make sure, in case you were wanting to know my thoughts on them, you're not kind of wondering, hey, are you still going to pick up that book? What happened to that one? I am going to start with the DNFs though, and the first one would be Under Heaven by Guy Gavriel Kay. This is a historical fiction fantasy that is heavily based in Asian history. I was so excited to jump into my first Guy Gavriel Kay book because I had heard nothing but good things. I heard that most of his writing is historical fantasy, and because I love fantasy and my second favorite genre is historical fiction, I was like, oh, it'll be perfect. And I'd also heard that the prose is gorgeous, and I think I just have a different taste when it comes to what I consider to be gorgeous prose, which is why everything is so subjective in writing. But to me, he spends a lot of time describing things, and I find I like, if I'm going to pick something up that I have heard is known for having beautiful writing, because I also really like direct writing styles, but if I pick up something that has beautiful writing, or I'm told it does, I lean more toward the way things are described is beautiful, not things are described a lot. So I felt like Under Heaven leaned toward things are described a lot, not exactly things are described beautifully a lot. So the writing style immediately just wasn't really my thing. I think it took 20-something pages before there was an actual present day line of dialogue going on. And on top of that, we also had a fair amount of characters that were guys thinking about, would I do that lady? I really want to do a lady. It's been so long since I've done a lady. Oh, look, a dead body. That guy over there is going to try to do stuff with it. I will link below when I did my wrap up and I DNF'd it then if you want a little bit more of a rant. But I have gotten past it. I'm not as feisty about it at the moment, but I just decided, okay, I don't know that Guy Gavriel Kay in this book is for me. I had every intention of still reading some of his other works because I thought, okay, maybe I just picked up one that's not as great. I did a little bit more digging into his writing, and by the way, I just want to say this is not meant to say that you should feel bad if you don't feel the same way as me. I just think everybody has different comfort levels, and Guy Gavriel Kay apparently in a lot of his books has a lot of interesting sexual content. I looked into the Finnevar tapestry, and there is a very bizarre scene, and I'm going to phrase it as without consent. And by that I mean a horrifically violent, magical situation happening. And I was like, no thanks. So I decided that not only is Under Heaven not really for me, but I don't think Guy Gavriel Kay is the author for me. Moving on though, the next DNF would be the Devouring Gray, and this is one that I'd heard is a great, creepy, young adult paranormal, I suppose, fantasy. It kind of has this creepy forest, and a lot of people have compared it to Stranger Things. I was excited to give it a try. I was looking for something that my little wimpy heart could handle for the spooky season, and I did not find it all that spooky because I felt like the characters did not react very accordingly or realistically. I mean, creepy stuff would be happening, but they'd be like, I probably just imagined that I woke up in the middle of a forest next to a heavily mutilated dead body. I won't tell my mom because she'll think I'm crazy. And I'm like, maybe you should tell your mom, because if you truly did imagine all of that, then maybe you are a little crazy. And if you didn't, you just woke up next to a dead body and you have no idea how you got there. So maybe you should look into it a little more. I don't know. I just felt like characters had really bizarre reactions. And they did that thing where they don't really know each other, but they meet once, and then all of a sudden it's as if they're just, like, so Susie said, and then James said, and that James fellow, he really made me think about this thing. And I'm like, you just met that guy. I decided I wasn't particularly scared, and I also was not particularly connecting to the characters, so it might be good to just pass it along. Next up is the one that I am definitely coming back to, and that would be Malice. And the reason I put this one down, most of you are aware that summer was difficult for me, for my personal life, and I had a lot of sad stuff happening, and I had picked that one up right around that time, and it definitely seems like a really fantastic epic fantasy story with a big cast of characters, so my kind of thing. However, whenever I have a big cast of characters and there's going to be a lot of political maneuverings and the beginning's a little slow intentionally so that things later are more satisfying, I want to make sure that I know what the heck is going on so that I don't miss out on all those big reveals and the character relationships and so forth. So I decided it was not high priority. It was one of those, if I have time, I will get to it books. And I did not have the time, so I will not be getting to it, at least for this last season. But I do want to still pick this one up very much because I have heard such good things. If you are wanting to see some people's thoughts about that, I have two friends, Jesse and Deshauna, who actually did a whole live show because they buddy read it together. So if you're interested, I will have their video linked down below. Also, Alex Nieves, I'll have his dedicated review linked also. The last official DNF would be A Song Below Water. This is a YA basically fantasy. I mean, it kind of feels more like a contemporary with fantasy elements because it takes place within our own world, but there are mythological creatures that exist within our world, and it is a known part of society, and one of our main characters is a siren, which has a lot of implications to it because she also is Black, and it touches on a lot of the things that are going on in America when it comes to race. I think that the author, just in the bit I read, was definitely tapping into a lot of those things, and she was using the mythological creatures element to kind of play into it in another way to add other layers to it, and I really appreciated that. But I also felt that the book was maybe a little bit more meant for a younger audience. Obviously, I enjoy young adult, and I am not between the ages of 12 and 18, which is what technically, if you type in what is the young adult age range, it's 12 to 18. I'm not 12 to 18. But there are just some books that when they feel a little extra youthful, I just felt like, okay, this isn't really for me. And because it's touching on such important topics, I feel like there was probably a very obvious effort made to make this something very digestible for individuals who are younger. Everything was going to feel a little bit on the nose for me, but that's because it's not really meant for me. And I felt like it would be strange to basically be like, this book just felt like too young, and the characters just like, they were like all high schoolers, and they used the word legitimately a lot, and I don't know, I just felt like it's clearly meant for a younger audience to introduce a younger audience to important topics. The last two books are books that I did not actually start, but I still want to mention here because, like I said at the beginning, I want to keep you all in the loop. And the first one would be A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. This was on, I believe, my July TBR, but I didn't get it until recently because I ordered the special edition with sprayed edges, and it took a very long time for this edition to come in. So I decided to substitute a few other things into my reading and figured whenever this one came in, I would try to pick it up later. So I definitely will be picking it up later, but I didn't get the chance to start it, and I just wanted to keep you all informed. This last book, this poor book, it's been on so many TBRs, and it's just never my highest priority, but I do still want to read it, and that would be Dry by Neal Shusterman. Neal Shusterman is the author of the Scythe trilogy, and I definitely really enjoyed that one. The setup for this one is what if we ran out of water and what that would look like for us. And I've heard that you definitely will feel very thirsty when you go into this. And I really wanted to pick it up in the summer when I would just feel that thirst, and the concept of running out of water would be all the more horrifying because I would be hot where I live. But every time I would make a TBR and I'd be going through that TBR and I'm like, okay, which book should I pick up now? I'd always be like, not Dry. And I don't know why, but now it's getting cooler, and I know some people think that seasonal mood reading is stupid, but I just feel like it's so perfect for a hotter season. So you might not be seeing this one around for a while. I'm so sorry to have consistently put it on TBRs and not picked it up, but someday. I swear, I promise I will get to it someday. Anyway, that is it for my summer DNFs. Let me know what books that you have tried to pick up recently and then just weren't really your thing. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.